Hi there Star Wars collectors, and welcome to another Bossk Bounty video, and welcome to episode 124 of Ask Bossk Bounty. This is the weekly series that drops every Sunday where I take your questions from the comment section below and answer them as best as I can each week. So if you do have a question for next week's episode, which will be episode 125, leave them in the comment section below and hopefully you'll be featured on that video. Ever so quickly, before I do get into this week's questions, I just want to say a huge thank you to my buddy Luke from Reynolds Reviews. He is a fellow YouTuber, and last week at Echo Live I managed to finally finish my run of 96 Star Wars vintage figures with the addition of Yak Face, but he didn't come with his staff, and Luke kindly sent me the staff to go with him. So thank you so much for that, Luke. I really do appreciate it. And within the little envelope were these as well, which are pretty cool. So he gave me a little printout of the card back for Yak Face, Power of the Force, but also a little card back of the Empire Strikes Back Bossk, which is pretty awesome as well. So I do appreciate those, Luke. Thank you so much. That accessory officially completes my vintage run. So thank you so much for that, buddy. Appreciate it. All right, then, with all that being said, if you do happen to enjoy this video, don't forget to drop a like down below because it does help the video and the channel. And if you're new, don't forget to subscribe. And also, if you're an existing viewer of this channel and you don't subscribe already, hit the subscribe button. It is unbelievable in my analytics when I see that like 40% of the people that watch my videos aren't subscribed. So what are you doing? Hit the little subscribe button and help support the channel. And Leon1 says, hey, just got back into figures and bought some of the vintage collection, found your channel and subbed right away. About how many new figures are released each year and how many waves and how long do they last in production, 3.75 inch format. So I can't tell you how long they last in production because, to be honest, that is just all over the place. We don't really know how long they sort of last in stores or when they come in stores. Distribution is a real sort of headache for the collectors. But in terms of waves, I think there's around 4 or 5 mainline waves per year. Then you've got a load of exclusives that come out. The best way to really check on this sort of stuff is head on over to my website. There is a link in the description below to the Vintage Collection Visual Guide, and that breaks it down by waves and years and things like that, and you'll be able to see what's due to come out as well. Straight Arrow Coruscant says, great episode, mate. Question for next week. What do you think the chances are that they'll re-release Jocasta new? I want her loose, but don't want to open the whole pack as it's so expensive. Me and you both, my friend. This is the Jocasta new pack. It's hard to see in all of the camera, but if I just open it up, you'll see her there. There you can see her in that pack. And this one's quite a hard one for me to judge whether it will be re-released ever in the future, because when it was originally released, it was a Brian's Toys exclusive. So it's one of those ones whether, you know, a bit like the Bounty Hunter foils, will they ever be released again? The SDCC revenge cards, will they ever be released again? And I think it all comes down to whether there was some kind of exclusive deal with Brian's Toys where it could never be re-released again outside of his store. And if that's the case, then the answer is no, it will never be re-released. But I'm with you, my friend. I need that one loose as well. Chris Rook says, I asked this last week and got a heart, so I'll ask it again. I noticed that all of the Mandalorian Black Series figures that have been made, only the Heavy Mandalorian hasn't been made in the vintage collection. When do you think we'll get him, and do you think he'll be on a Mandalorian or Book of Boba Fett card when we get him? Yeah, that is kind of true. We're still waiting for Season 1 Grief Karga as well, which is a bit of a big miss for the vintage collection, but I understand what you're saying. We've had that character in the TVC. So, but when it comes to the Heavy Infantry Mandalorian or Paz Vizsla, I think it's inevitable that we will get that figure at some point. No doubt he'll be a deluxe figure with how big he is and all of his accessories and stuff like that. So hopefully next year we'll see him. It's one of the biggest characters that's left from that show, and as you mentioned, he's been in the Book of Boba Fett as well. So I think it's very, very likely that we will see him in the vintage collection. In terms of which card back, I really don't know. I would hope it would be the Mandalorian, because essentially that's where we first saw him. That was like his debut thing, wasn't it? So hopefully on the Mandalorian card. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't checked out my review of the Shore Trooper 4-pack, please check out that video. These are awesome. I really love them. So check out the video for more details on that. And coming up on the channel very, very soon is going to be the ARC Trooper Umbra Operative. So be sure to check out that video when it drops. Patreon supporter Josh Butt says, hi Tim, great week of new releases and channel content. Love the channel more and more each day. So thank you for that, Josh. I do appreciate that, my friend. Question for next week. Next month it will be 1 year since the infamous VC188 mistake was made. Do you think this is still on Hasbro's radar to fix, or since we have seen new content numbered all the way past VC240, that they've forgotten about it. Cheers. Well, my friend, I certainly hope that they haven't forgotten about it, because there's going to be a lot of people with some serious OCD issues about the numbering. But the reason this all originally came about was because they messed up the Walmart exclusive Incinerator Trooper and the Din Djarin figure. They were both numbered VC 177, I think. They totally missed 176. And it was like, well, when are they going to fix this? And what they did was they eventually fixed it with ARC Trooper Echo. He is VC 176, but he should have been around the numbering of VC 188 in that wave around there. So the consensus is that this guy was originally pinned for VC 188, but then he was like brought back to VC 176 to fill the hole. Now, hopefully that's what they're going to be doing with VC 188 when they bring out Jesse. Hopefully Jesse will be the figure that they move back to 188. If it's not, I really don't know when they're going to fill it in, because there's been loads of different figures where they've had the opportunity to do it. With Merrick, for example, who's packed in on his own. The Imperial Death Trooper in the Cantina set, another figure packed in on his own. Plenty of opportunities to fix that numbering. But I've got a feeling it might be the Jesse card. But we'll have to wait and see. Owen Brown says, I've got a question for Little Bossk next week. What is your favourite Star Wars character of all time and why?
Thanks, Owen, for the question. My favourite character in Star Wars is Boba Fett, because we saw him in the Mandalorian TV show and the Book of Boba Fett, and I think his armour looks really cool.
So there you go then, Owen. That's Little Bossk's reason for liking Boba Fett. And yeah, he loves those shows, so it's awesome that they brought him back. C3PO Concept says, great video as always. In the spirit of the Republic Trooper, if Hasbro asked you for 5 figures to be voted on for the next Vote from the Vault, which 5 figures would you recommend, besides the 4 that lost to the Republic Trooper? My picks would be the Magna Guard, Commander Cody, Dr. Evazan, and Nien Nunb, or Nine Num, however you want to say that, Ryan Byrne, and Luke Skywalker from Crate. So they're your picks. My picks, I would have to agree with the Magna Guard. Absolutely, I would love that one. I need that figure loose. I'd also think these two here would be a good one to have for the Vote from the Vault. I'm being a bit selfish here because, again, I need both of those loose. And Kit Fisto, great card back and figure. And the Nikto Guard, another great figure, that one. I'd also pick Aura Singh from the Phantom Menace. Again, brilliant figure. Love the card back on that one. And again, that's another one that I do need loose. And the 5th one, I'd probably pick Woof, because that for me is possibly one of the best figures from the whole line. It's a great figure, and I just don't think people should miss out on that one. It's definitely one that you need for your Jabba's Palace and all that kind of thing. So yeah, I'd go with Woof for the 5th one. This is No Cave says, I thoroughly enjoyed the TVC Droids worst to first video. Thank you so much. Keeping on the subject of droids, with the exception of R2-D2, there have been no new Astromech droids from Hasbro since 2020 in the Celebrate the Saga multi-packs. Has anyone from Hasbro ever gone on record about this and the seeming exclusivity of these 3.7 droids to Disney? Yeah, I can see where you're going with this, and it does seem a bit odd, doesn't it, that we only really got R2-D2 on like a card back when there are plenty of other droids, at least the Astromech versions anyway, for them to do. I mean, I've got 2 of them here from the most recent Mandalorian 4-pack. These are absolutely awesome. I mean, we would love a ferry droid on card, wouldn't we? You know, really good figure. And this one is from the episode 3, I think it is, from season 1. He's like pulling along that thing that the Mando dives in to protect himself from being shot. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. I do know that I don't think the moulds are the same. I think Disney have their own mould. I think they may have used to have shared them, but they don't any longer. But yeah, it does seem a little bit odd, doesn't it, that we haven't got any others apart from R2-D2. And I think that does need to change, because we need these kinds of things in the vintage collection. At least I think we do anyway. But yeah, without knowing the details of that, I really don't know. I don't think Hasbro have ever come out and said anything official on it. So maybe that'll be a question for the next round of Q&A videos, and we can hopefully get an answer. Doc Brown says, hello BB, hope the family are well. Question for next week. With the anniversary of Return of the Jedi next year, surely we need a new version of the Endor bunker playset, updated for the vintage collection line, as well as a new speeder bike and biker scout on TVC card. Would love both. Also, what do you think of an Imperial Shuttle for a HasLab newly scaled? Keep up the great work. I'm up for all of those things that you've just said there. I would love them to do an Endor bunker and a speeder bike. And I've got a feeling that next year with the anniversary, I think we're going to see more stuff from that anniversary. Certainly more than that we got for the Empire line. The Empire Strikes Back 40th anniversary was kind of missed in the vintage collection. We got the Slave 1 and a couple of reissue figures. There wasn't much at all, basically, and certainly hardly any of it was branded like the Black Series was with all of the 40th anniversary stuff. But I've got a feeling that the position that the vintage collection is in now, which is a lot healthier than it was back then, that we'll hopefully see more Return of the Jedi stuff. So I'm up for all of those things. In terms of the Imperial Shuttle, yeah, I think the one that we've always had, which is actually the same sculpt that they used from the original vintage Kenner one. I think they re-released it in the Saga line, didn't they? They've always used the same mould. I think if it was ever to be a HasLab project, then yeah, it would have to be rescaled. You know, they could make it bigger, couldn't they? And I'd be all for it. I would back that 100%. Geek Strong says, great videos, brother. Question, with Easter fast approaching and music gatherings happening, what are our chances that we might stumble into another Ewok rave in the woods? Great video, I loved it. Man, has it been a year since I did that video? That's just crazy. I love doing that video. It's an illegal rave. Something a bit more fun for the channel, you know. But you never know. Maybe on a walk in the woods that we'll see something similar. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. David Flickinger says, question, interesting thought. With the announcement of the TVC Figrin D'an Cantina member, could this new announcement be the beginnings of Hasbro paving the way for a HasLab Vintage Collection Mos Eisley Cantina? Any more Cantina announcements and I will truly start to believe it. Yeah, this is really, really interesting. I mean, the Figrin D'an figure on its own, I would have thought, you know, possibly. But the fact that they did mention that they will be releasing that in like a bigger pack with the rest of the band, you know, that's kind of like a hint maybe. I think we might be onto something there. Maybe not a HasLab, but maybe something as big as the Jabba's Palace set, possibly. But I think also, you know, when you are given one of the band member, you instantly want the rest as well. So the fact that they're giving us the rest is a good thing. But I think something's in that, you know. There's other figures that we desperately need from the Cantina as well. So, as you say, if there's any more announcements around Cantina aliens, then, you know, we can really start hoping. And if it is a HasLab, then that will be a good way of getting out some of the characters that maybe wouldn't really work in mainline. So some of the more obscure aliens that perhaps not everyone would buy, for example, and you certainly wouldn't army build them or anything like that. So fingers crossed, man. Let's hope for a Mos Eisley Cantina, whether it's a HasLab or whether it's one of those Pulse exclusives like the Jabba's Palace playset or Boba Fett's playset, whatever you want to call it. Let's do this. I'm all up for it. Faceless Enigma 21 says, question for next week. I'm sure you've been asked this before, but with the Attack of the Clones anniversary this year, do you see the vintage collection Clone Gunship being re-released or maybe even slightly updated if it is? Now, I've got to be honest, I've heard no rumblings or rumours around that, and, you know, we're getting further into the year now without any vehicles to speak of, so it's not looking likely. Whether they pull it out of the bag like they did with the Millennium Falcon that time, I don't know. But at the end of the day, I kind of think that maybe we would have heard about it already, you know, in certain rumours and things like that, and we just haven't. So I'm gutted because I would love for them to do that. I would love the vintage collection Gunship again. That would be awesome. Bill Polk says, I have a question, BB. Beyond Bossk, who is your third favourite bounty hunter? So I think you're presuming that my second favourite is Boba Fett, maybe. I think if Boba Fett's not your number one, then there's a reason for that you've got another bounty hunter that you really like Bossk. But third choice, I would probably pick the IG units. And I've always loved IG-88, but when they brought out IG-11 in The Mandalorian, and you could actually see what these guys could do, that was just so cool. That was awesome. So I'd have to pick the IG units, but I'm not going to say it's IG-88 because I like both of them. Intelligent Chimp says, question for next week. In the live stream you did with John Miko recently, were you being serious when you said 20 degrees Celsius was hot? Surely not. Look, man, I'm in the UK, and at the end of the day, 20 degrees is nice weather. That's when people start, you know, sunbathing. I'm telling you, mate, once it reaches like 25 degrees, you get people starting complaining about how hot it is, fainting in the street, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, 20 degrees for me is decent, nice, warm weather. GA says, hi BB, question for next week. With the VC-162 Sith Trooper, Hasbro set a precedent for TVC's numbering system whereby the version of the figure with the additional weapons accessories was labelled VC-162A. Do you think Hasbro should tap into this more? I'm thinking here of using the numbering system for alternate card backs. Let's say Obi-Wan Kenobi will be VC300, then you could have the VC300A with the blue lightsaber image. It seems to me that this has a lot of potential and would be a good way for Hasbro to make me buy 3 or 4 of the non-Trooper builder figures whilst not harming their tooling budget. Am I missing something? You're not missing something at all. I would love for them to do that, and I think a good way that you just described there with the A on the end of the numbering is a brilliant way to get the alternate image card backs out there. In terms of the Sith Trooper and the weapons, I think they've kind of gone down a different route with that now, haven't they? They've gone down those boxed versions, calling them deluxe, charging us more just for a few more accessories, and I think they're going to stick with that, unfortunately, and they're not even numbered at all. But yeah, absolutely, the ones that have alternate card back images from the original Kenner run, that would be awesome if they did that, and that's exactly how they could do it. Stick an A on the end of the number. Alright then guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of Ask Boss Bounty. As I mentioned before, if you do have a question for next week's episode, please leave it in the comment section below and let's keep this series going. Thank you all for watching, and thank you to my Patreon supporters and channel members. Your support means a great deal to me. I say it every week, but it really, really does. So thank you so much for the support. Alright then folks, that's it. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.